What is New School Dance? New School Dance can be broken into two general terms, hip-hop dance and house dance. From the late 80s, dancing with hip-hop music and house music developed a new school style of hip-hop and house dance, which soon spread over all of America and then was launched upon the rest of the world. The one person who is said to have helped start the spread of hip-hop is Strech from Mop Top's elite force, who joined the old school dance styles of popping, locking and breaking with the new school dance style. Now he is seen as the creative originator of what is now known as hip-hop dance in general. Eric B. and Rakim, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross and Mariah Carey are just some other top artists who have used hip-hop dance in their music video releases. They all continue to have an influence on the world scene, also helping to create new moves. To continue, the one man who helped establish the street dance scene of house dance was Khalif. He was a member of Mop Top's Dance Fusion and witnessed the early times of hip-hop. He is seen as a big representative for hip-hop culture as a whole. In the 90s, Shishi Peniston was the first to use house dance, and from then on saw many other artists using the dance in their music videos. It started in America, and with the help of these people, spread to Asia and Europe through workshops, and they are still helping house dance to expand. Another original member of Mop Top's elite force, Link, had a strong helping in seeing new school dance spread throughout the world. Other top artists like Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey and Will Smith have used it numerous times in their music videos. Now it is being used in showcases and workshops around the world, keeping its vitality in high action. These people, because they are the originators, need to be recognized. That is why we are going to make the history of the new school clear for you.
People want to know their history. You know, you can't know where you're going until you know where you've come from. What people don't seem to understand is that wherever the music takes off, there's always a dance to go with it.
Let's get back to the dancing.
People really want to learn, what the dance is, what the vocabulary is, what the culture behind it is. And that's a resurgence in the new school across the board. So we're going to discuss the origins of hip-hop as a culture and hip-hop as a dance. Hip-hop culture started in the South Bronx, 1973, in the Sedgwick and Cedar houses. And, it came out of Black and Latino culture of the 60s and the 70s. Hip-hop as a dance comes, from the same culture, in the 70s, before they actually called anything hip-hop. It was just, different parts of the city had their own expression of hip-hop culture. In the Bronx, they had b-boying and, MCs and DJs. But in Brooklyn, we had, what was called, it was b-boying in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn, they called it the freak style. And then we had, in the Bronx, they had rocking, and in Brooklyn, we had our own version called Brooklyn rock. And that all gave way to the culture of, hip-hop in terms of, once it caught on to the mainstream. And then hip-hop dance came out of the exploitation of, the hip-hop culture. After the movies, Beat Street, Breakin' 2, all the commercials and tours, the dance aspect of it, i.e. b-boying, popping, and locking, kind of died down. It was considered played out. So what happened was a lot of the dancers that were either poppers or b-boys, just got into just strictly dancing, which is just straight social dances. And what happened was, after the Beat Street era, as we call it, we just started taking those dances and combining them all together. And, as the B-boys, like to call it freestyle. But we just called it hip-hop. And the reason we called it hip-hop was because those dances that were being done at the time were all done to specific hip-hop records. What separates hip-hop dance from B-boying is because B-boying was done to breaks and funk. Now, the breaks came from funk records, from salsa records, from rock records. But hip-hop, when you did the WAP, you did it because B-Fats made a rap record, a hip-hop record called Do the WAP. We did the Happy Feet to Dougie Fresh, the show. You do the James Brown to Super Lover C, and, they did a song called Do the James, so you did the James Brown to that song.
So basically you had songs that had dances to the song. Exactly. So when those songs came on, you did that dance. You didn't do no other dance, just that dance. It's like later you start adding different steps and changing the step and doing it different ways. But whenever that song plays, you can play that song today, and people who knows that dance automatically goes to that dance.
What happened was, being that a lot of the dancers came out of popping or breaking, those elements remained mixed with the social dances, and that's how hip hop came about. And when we all got together, we just took, everything that we all did, and just, it was a mix and match and a mash of every style. And that's how hip hop came about. And the same thing with house. House culture comes from, the disco culture. And, it's sort of the younger cousin of hip hop. But, that's why, they call the styles that we do freestyle, because it's a mixture of styles. But all styles are basically the same. They're freestyles. They're social dances before they become styles. And so around, the late 80s, the mid to late 80s is when the Beat Street era died down and the hip hop era started. And in the 90s is when it flourished, and exploded and became a national scene and then an international scene, all the way to now and today. And as the music changed, the dances changed. I just think people, tend to forget why they got into this culture in the first place. And we never have. We got into it because of the music and the love for music. And I think that's what's missing. It's an art form, and, you should treat it as such. What's up, y'all? Buddha Stretch, Elite Force Crew, Mop Top.
What's up, Link, Elite Force Crew, Mop Top.
We're here in the park in New York City, and what we're trying to do today is to give a little history of hip-hop dance, so you know what the names of the steps are and the history behind them. We're right here in Lower Manhattan, near a bunch of clubs that we used to frequent. So what we're going to try and do is break down a few steps and the history behind them, like the Smurf, the Prep, old school street dance, rather old school social dance, that primarily made up what we call hip hop today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a dance called the Smurf. It's from the early 80s. It's just really a street and social dance, and it got incorporated into hip hop in the late 80s. This is the Smurf. Smurf, yo.
What's up, y'all? This is Link from Elite Force. What I'm about to show y'all is a dance from the mid-'80s, and this dance is called the Prep. That's the prep.
What's up, y'all? So this next dance is called a Reebok, named after the Reebok shoe because it was popular at the time and everybody wore them and, you know, came up with a dance and named it after the shoe.
This next dance, this dance is called the WAP. Where it came from, ask him. All I know is called the WAP.
It's called the WAP because it was made after a record called Do the WAP by B Fats. And when the record played, you did the dance.
And actually in the record, he told you how to do the dance. That was like what a lot of dances, they told you how to do it. That's the WAP.
What's up, y'all? So this next dance is called the Cabbage Patch. It's named after a toy, a doll, in the early 80s. Social dance incorporated into hip hop.
What's up, y'all? Back again. This next dance is called the Happy Feet. I guess when you did it, you looked so happy your feet was moving everywhere. Can't tell you where it actually started and come from, but I can tell you this is the name of the dance.
And the dance was done to primarily to Dougie
Fresh, the show.
Rick, the show. When that song
Came on, everybody did this dance.
Called the Happy Feet. Last dance is called the Fila, and in Brooklyn they call it the Rambo because a lot of people got robbed to this song, and the chant of "Go Rambo." When you heard that, you knew something bad was going to happen. So it's originally called the Fila, but you know some places they call it the Rambo because you know Brooklyn was in the house. Now you see a whole group of people doing that around in a circle. Look out for your chain. hip hop really was established, you know. Right now we're going to discuss what would be considered, you know, in hip hop terms, the middle school, you know, middle school hip hop dance, you know, from say 1990, 1991 to like 1997, something like that. In the early to mid 90s to the late 90s. And at this time, is, you know, this is what I refer to as the video age, because prior to that, there wasn't
no videos.
Yeah, there were plenty of videos, but there weren't as many. You know, during the 90s, everybody had dancers. They used dancers in damn near every video, and hip hop really, you know, was established as, you know, a force. Like, this is the dance. It was all over the world, and you know, everybody saw it. So I, you know, the middle school time is what, you know, I like to call the video age, because prior to that, there were videos, but you know, there were only certain videos by certain artists. By the mid 90s, all artists had dancers in their videos. In the early 90s, I like to call it, you know, the Das Effects era, because that's when everybody had dreadlocks.
Yeah.
You know, and everywhere you went, Das Effects was so popular. If you had locks, everybody was like, they Das Effects. They straight from the underground. Blah, blah, blah.
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Well, Milli Vanilli is prior to that, you know. But, you know, I like to think of around that time as the Timberland age. It's when everybody started rocking Timbs. You know, prior to that, you know, only some folks, you know, wore Timbs, but everybody started rocking Timbs.
Timbs, cross colors, Carl Canal.
Hoodie.
Yeah, hoodies. Sweatshirts were big. Sweatshirts and baseball caps. You had the hoodie over with the cap. Your pants hang low. Your Timbs on.
Carhartt jacket.
Carhartt.
TLC made a song, right? Hat to the back.
Hat to the back.
Hat to the back. Pants down low.
Oh, polo was in, you know, for forever.
Polo's
really old school.
Polo and Guess?
Yeah, that's from the 80s.
That's from the 80s, but they still maintain.
Surface in like 90,
Also, yeah, that's this era, the middle school era, is the Tommy Hilfiger era.
Yeah.
Because that's when Tommy Hilfiger took off.
Yeah.
Without, you know, that time, you know, that's the era where Ralph Lauren gave way to Tommy Hilfiger.
Right.
Prior to that, it was low.
Yeah.
In the 90s, it became Tommy Hilfiger. You had the, you know, everybody had the backpacks, you had the jeans, the jackets, the bubble vest. You know,
you had something, and if you ain't have Tommy, you had Helly Hansen.
Yeah. The ski wear was, you know, huge at that time.
Spider.
Yeah, Helly Hansen, Spider.
We was wearing stuff that you wouldn't think they would wear as a regular dress code, like a regular clothes. Some they wearing only on slopes and skiing.
Yeah.
We was wearing to the club, North Face.
Yep. That's when, you know, the East Coast, that whole dressing style is all New York. It's all East Coast, and you can see that it spread from New York all the way down Atlanta, everywhere. And it was, you know, when you dressed like that, you knew you were from the East Coast, because the West Coast, you know, they dressed completely different. You know, they didn't dress, they had the khakis, the chucks and all that. We didn't rock any of that then. So, you know, that was, you know, the real, you know, underground, straight, street head. You knew this is a hip-hop cat. And that's when, you know, mainstream America really, you know, wanted to be down with OPP and all of that.
Yeah.
So right now we're going to demonstrate for y'all what's considered the middle school. Steps that were between, you know, old school and new school. What we consider old school hip hop and new school hip hop. These steps were done in the, you know, early 90s through to the mid, you know, towards the end of the 90s. And the first step we're going to demonstrate, it's called a crisscross really, but we called it the party machine because it's a TV show that came on late nights on the weekends, and this is the one dance that everybody could do on that show, so we called it the party machine.
Which Strech is about to demonstrate. Strech.
up, y'all? So this next step is called the running man. It's basically the bridge between the old school and the middle school. And it's based off of a movie by Arnold Schwarzenegger called The Running Man. And it's just basically a step that makes you look like you're running in place. Right now we're going to have Link demonstrate some variations on the running man.
That's the running man.
What's up, y'all? So right now we're going to do a dance called the Roger Rabbit, which is based on the film, you know, Who Stole Roger Rabbit? And it's basically the running man done backwards. And we done. All right, this next dance is called a Steve Martin. It's based off the comedian Steve Martin on Saturday Night Live, and it was created by a dancer for EPMD by the name of Steezo. Link's gonna demonstrate.
Steve Martin.
Yeah. So right now we're going to do a dance called the Bart Simpson. It's from ATL, it's Atlanta, and it's based on the character Bart Simpson, the Bartman. We did this dance in
Remember the Time.
Yeah, in the video with Michael Jackson, Remember the Time.
Well, wait, while you do it, show a variation how it,
Yeah,
how
we're
we
gonna show
did
different
it,
versions.
then we changed it.
Okay. This is the original way. This is how we did it. That's the Bart Simpson. So, next dance is called the Pepper Seed. It's one of the dances from dance hall, reggae, and it shows reggae's influence on hip hop. Link's going to demonstrate.
Pepper Seed.
So this next dance originally didn't have a name. It was a dance that I made up mixing the Steve Martin with the crisscross or the party machine. And we called it the BK Bounce because we're all from Brooklyn and we put it on the map. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you now. What's up, y'all? So, this next dance is another dance from dancehall and reggae. It's called the butterfly, straight out of Jamaica, and again shows reggae's influence on hip hop. We're going to demonstrate together. That's the butterfly. We're dancers. I'm a dancer first. You can put the style anywhere you want. To explain the difference between us as, hip hop dancers, house dancers, whatever, those are labels. And people like to stick labels on you so they can, understand you better. But the whole point, the difference between us and everyone else, I would say, is we never looked at it as, oh, I'm a hip-hop dancer, or I'm a house dancer, or I'm this, or I'm that. We dance. You play the music, we dance. If you play house music, we're going to dance house. If you play hip-hop, we're going to dance hip-hop. If you play electro music, we're going to pop. If you play something funky, we might start locking. We might start breaking. We did what...
Go back
if you played, if you played reggae, we're going to start doing reggae.
Right.
You do what the music dictates. And that's what I think people, a lot of people come up with these labels because they can't do that. Like if you say, oh, Link is just a hip hop dancer, then you only think, oh, well, if you play hip hop, he's cool. But if you play, if I play, Looking for the Perfect Beat, Link can't dance. Nonsense. If you play Looking for the Perfect Beat or Planet Rock, Link will still get up in your ass. Okay? So, or like, oh, Khalif is a house dancer. Oh, so if you played Pete Rock, Khalif can't dance to it? Nonsense. And that's the problem with the labels. Like, it's what people, they forget that before it's a style, it's just a dance. Before locking was called locking, Campbell locking, he was doing, the robot shuffle and the funky chicken. There was a social dances. All dance is social dance. Before it's a style, it's a dance. And we always put style second. Dance was always first, the style was secondary. And a lot of that had to do also with in the house culture. When I got into it and I met up with them, we were always deemed as hip hop dancers. And those guys, they're not house, they're hip hop. Yeah, but get in the circle with me and then tell me what I'm doing. You know, and a lot of those people that were, oh, they're hip hop, they don't dance anymore. We're dancers. I'm not a locker. I'm not a popper. I'm not a hip hop dancer. I'm not any of that. I'm a dancer first. You can put the style anywhere you want. You play the music and I'll dance to it. And that's what defines me, the music, not the labels. Well, I would say the new school era starts at the turn of the century, really. Right now, over the last, I'd say, 6-7 years, hip-hop has branched out and become, you know, I mean, it's been a, you know, multinational phenomenon. But the music, you know, at one point, New York was the center of the universe for hip-hop. And then that shifted to, you know, to the West Coast. They had their moment. Well, now it's the South's moment. And all of the South, that music is hip-hop music. What people don't seem to understand is that wherever the music takes off, there's always a dance to go with it. And most of the new school dances have come out of the South because that's where the music is. That's the most popular music. And whenever there's a popular music, there's going to be a dance to go with it.
Exactly.
Because music and dance are yin and yang. And each region has their own kind of music. You know, case in point, New York has our hip hop. Atlanta has their sound and their dances to go with it. Houston has their sound and dances to go with it. You know, the Bay Area has their own thing. You know. So yeah, Chicago has their thing. So you know, it's hip hop because of the music and the culture. But each place has their own thing. You know, what they call it. Like in Chicago, they have their, you know, footworking and their music, you know, is juking. And then in Memphis, they have a different style of juking. And then in Atlanta, they have, you know, their dances. In the Bay Area, they have what's called turfing or hyphy, you know. And if you look at it, it looks similar to, it's just basically hip hop, but it's just their way of doing it. In South Central, you know, that's where crumping comes from. What do the crumpers dance to? Hip hop, you know. And the movements are all similar. You know, but for each region has their own sound and their own, you know, mini culture. But the culture of as a whole is still hip hop. You know, that's what, you know, is considered the new school now because, you know, each place puts their own stamp on it and brings their own, you know,
that actually,
thing to it.
It's like in a good way, because actually it's almost going back to what we said in the old school. When you heard a song, you knew the dance.
Exactly.
Because now it's more like artists is making songs with dances.
Yeah, they're making a dance to go with it. Case in point, Soulja Boy.
Yeah.
The reason that record took off is because he had a dance to go with
the
the
Soulja
record.
Boy.
You know, and he filmed his own video and put it on YouTube to go with the song, and the song took off because everybody did the dance.
And
Soulja
Boy,
Chicken Noodle Soup.
Chicken Noodle Soup, Walk It Out.
Yeah.
Everything is coming back to what Missy started saying first to all entertainers. Let's get back to the dancing. What she said to, you know, on her song, enough with all that other stuff. Let's get back to the dancing and partying.
Yeah. The reason
why we do hip hop.
You know, the new school is just, you know, if they're taking it back to how it was done before. You know, you had specific songs that had specific dances. Well, now you still have specific songs that have specific dances to go with them. And that's what keeps the culture alive and keeps it popular and keeps it moving, you know, and keeps the creativity and you know, the culture alive. And that's what makes it fun. It's always, for me, it's really fascinating to see a new dance and have to learn that dance. When I first saw the Harlem Shake, I saw my nephew do it. And I was amazed, like, what is this? Like, you know, when I saw the videos, I was like, ah. But when I saw my nephew actually rock it, I was like, nah, this is nuts. The dance, what saves the dance is the kids. You know, the kids, they take a dance and they show you how to do it. And you really see the essence of the dance because they really feel the music. If you really want to see what hip-hop is supposed to look like or the feeling of it, just play the music and watch the kids dance. And that's where the inspiration comes from. up, y'all?
What's up? What's up?
So right now we're in Fort Greene, in the park where we shot a live TV record shop in Brooklyn, you know, back in 1992. So right now we're going to run through some of the new school steps that have come about since around 2000 to now 2008. A lot of the hip-hop steps are not from New York. They're steps that come from other cities in America that had hip-hop, you know, their own hip-hop culture that have been adapted, you know, across the board. So one of the first steps is called the Monastery.
From St. Louis.
From St. Louis. It's named after a club called the Monastery. And a girl in the club is who made up the dance. The guys were imitating her, and then the dance took off, and everybody started doing the dance. Lincoln's going to demonstrate.
Monastery.
All right, this next dance is a gangster's dance.
Gangster.
Meaning real gangsters, Crips.
Meaning don't do this dance in LA, some parts of Brooklyn, some parts of New York, because they don't take it as a dance.
Now first off, it's called a C walk. The C is for the word Crip. Crip is a gang started in the 70s in Los Angeles, opposite of the Bloods. And the C walk is the Crips dance. It's the dance that represents the gang and, you know, the culture surrounding the gang.
Not only that, you know, God rest the dead, peace to Skeeter Rabbit, who told me this dance was a setup dance when they were about to fight or after they finished fighting. So do not do this dance in certain places because you might be the dance.
So I'm going to demonstrate in memory of Skeeter Rabbit, the C walk. C walk. All right, so this next dance is called the Bankhead Bounce. It's a dance out of the Bankhead section of Atlanta in the South. And this dance came about in the mid-90s. It's done, you know, in celebration of the Dirty Dirty. And it's one of the first dances to come out of Atlanta that you know, gain national recognition. Lincoln's going to demonstrate. Bankhead Bounce.
Bankhead Bounce.
All right, this next dance is one of the newest dances from the Dirty South called Walk It Out. And I'm going to demonstrate. All right, This next dance, straight out of NYC from Harlem. It's called the Harlem Shake, made popular from an old school dancer called Al B, R.I.P. He did a dance called the Al B, and the Harlem Shake came out of that dance. And Link is going to demonstrate. Harlem Shake.
Harlem Shake.
All right, this next dance is called the ATL Stomp, straight out of Hotlanta, and it's one of the newest dances that's come out in the last year or so.
You can also see this dance in Usher's video, Yeah. At the end, they tell you ATL Stomp, so you can see that.
And I'm going to demonstrate. ATL Stomp. All right, this next and last dance is from New York City, again from Harlem. It's called the Tone Wop. It's a dance coming out of Harlem over the last couple of years, and it's gained national recognition. You can see Chris Brown do it in the running video, and we both are going to demonstrate. Tone Wop.
Record shop. That people have to realize that this is, dancing is a spiritual thing too, and it's something that it's just self-expression. You're telling your story when you dance, and what I mean by that is by copying someone. You need your own identity when you're out there.
And we all have the ability to have our own identity, you know. And as far as teaching is concerned, I said it once, I'll say it again. Teaching this art form takes time. If you take a class for a year, I don't care if it's with me, if it's with Shaness, if it's with Brian, Marjorie, anybody that's teaching house, you need more than a year before you go into another room and try to show somebody the movements. If you do not know the foundation, if you have not mastered any of the foundation, then I don't understand how you can go and teach. Teaching is more than choreography. Choreography is something that is done in an hour and a half. People gather that from you. They'll know it like 2 hours after that. 3 hours after that, they can't remember what they learned, or the day after. That's no good. You have to give people things that they can grow with, and you have to be able to give them the information. If you're not able to give them the information, then they won't be able to grow as a dancer. Peace and love. Remember that this art form is not about battling. This is about love. If you listen to the vocals and the music, they're not telling you to hurt or harm anybody. They're speaking about love and upliftment, and that's all it's about. And that's all I gotta say.
For one, I respect all styles. But no matter what you say, all styles, it's all dance. Dance is before the style. Learn that first. And then once you learn that, you learn what you're doing. You can't say jazz is hip hop, this is hip hop, this is hip hop. No, hip hop's hip hop. Locking's locking, popping's popping, ballet's ballet, jazz is jazz. But they're all just dance. And get out of the mirror, because everything you do, every mistake that's been made is a new dance step. So if you don't make a mistake, you ain't bringing nothing new into the game. You're not helping hip hop. You can't clean it up. It's meant to be raw and, you know, dirty. It's not meant to be neat and tight and, you know, clean. Yeah, you got clean dancers. You got, you know, there's some say sloppy dancers, but for me that's abstract. That's what, you know, that's their real feeling. If you in the mirror, you making a feeling, and you trying to, you know, clean up something you doing wrong. But if you actually look at it, the wrong thing you're doing is thinking about doing it. You're not feeling it. That's the first wrong part in any dance. If you don't feel what you're doing, you're wrong from starting. So my thing is, get out of the mirror, go in the club, go with your friends, make them dance. Get away from the bar sometime. That's my thing.
My message to the dancers and all of the people that will watch this video, read my shirt. It says, I am hip hop. What does that represent? You represent the culture. The culture doesn't represent you. You represent the culture. Whenever, everything about me is hip hop. Everything that I do is hip hop. And I actually care about that statement. You know, this isn't a stepping stone. It isn't, I don't do this for attention or to make people like me. I really don't care if you like me. I could care less. And I'm quick to give you the finger. So, you know, for me, it's not what I do, it's how I live. And, you know, if you're interested in the culture as a fad, cool, do you, that's cool. But don't come around me, because, you know, I live this, and, you know, if you really want to be a part of the culture and represent something, don't represent it from here, represent it from here.
Take it away, Hank.
Shut up or shut the f
dance for the music, to the music, and because of the music.